Hello everybody, this is Tyler D1 here. In today's video we are going to do some scary story reading reviews. These are 4 true scary stories I'm going to read you guys. Where I've been finding these. If you want to know where I find these at, the website is called Thought Catalog. They have all kinds of scary stories you can read from. Things you want to read, things you might like to share and stuff. And so if you have any ideas, go to that website and you'll find something there to read on. So I'm going to read you guys 4 true scary stories and see what you guys think. Here we go. First one is called Someone Was There. We were living with my brother-in-law in his town and his two teens. When I was pregnant, he has an elevated house on a quite bit of former hunting land. Several miles down a country road, my husband works 7 to 6, and Bill works offshore for 14 days. While he was at work, his kids stayed with their grandmother. Nice house, but it had a weird vibe. I chalked it up to pregnancy hormones one day, home alone. I was taking a shower and felt someone staring at me. I stuck my head out and listened. Couldn't hear anyone in the house, so I resumed my shower a while later. I heard the back door shut. I was standing in the kitchen, and I could see the door, which had no steps, and was 6 from the ground. Door was still locked. I told my husband about it that night, and he shrugged it off. We looked down and went to bed. I don't know how long it'd been asleep, but I woke up to the blankets being yanked off the bed, and my husband flipping on every light in the house. He threw open every door, every cabinet, looked in every pantry or closet. While holding his handgun, I asked what was going on. He swore he heard boots thumping through the house and someone talking. Everything was still locked, and it's not a big house. Nobody was there except us. One night, a while later, my niece came into our room. Her dad worked over. We had them for a few days and asked to sleep in bed with us. Now, this girl isn't scared of anything and is 14. At the time, I sat up and told my husband to scoot over and patted my pillow. That's when I noticed her 16-year-old brother curled up under a blanket on the floor beside me. Why are you both in our room at 2 in the morning? They didn't want to answer at first, but explained that something in my niece's room laughed at night. I hated that room. When we moved in and put up any laundry I did quickly in there, I asked my nephew why he was on the floor. He said, "She came into my room on the cot to sleep, but something stared knocking at the door. We came down here as soon as it stopped." Again, husband flipped on every light, looked in every nook and cranny. Nothing. Eventually, we moved out and the kids decided to live full-time with grandma. My husband said he heard a man laughing in my niece's room, but there was nobody there. When he turned on the lights, something scared the crap out of him. That's the end of that one. Strange. How would you like to hear somebody laughing in your house at around 2 a.m.? Probably was a homeless person living in the house. I mean, okay, this story is called 2 a.m. Years ago, early 90s, my boyfriend was driving me home, and we saw a man lying on the ground in a strangest position, kneeling with his head on the ground and bent at a shape angle so that he faced the street. It was 2 in the morning, and the man was covered in sweat with his eyes open. We pulled over and I hopped out of the car to check on this guy. His eyes were wide open and he seemed like his face wasn't moving, but it really felt like he was pleading for help. He didn't respond at all when called out to him. Nothing. No blinking, glossy eyes. I reached out to touch him, and he was ice cold. I'm sure he wasn't breathing. This was before cell phones, so I hopped back in the car and we sped back to my house to call 911. 10 minutes later, the police called back. To ask for the cross streets again. Apparently, they arrived at the corner and there was nothing there. I verified that they had the right spot, and they said they would call back if they needed any more information. That was the last I ever heard about it. I checked the newspaper for the next few weeks, but we never found out anything else about the man. That was that one. Okay. Okay, where the heck did that one story go? Sorry about this, guys. I'm trying to find the third one. There's at least 3. There's 2 more left I got here. Oh, here it is. Found it. The story is called The 3 a.m. Walk. I'm fairly small for a guy. I stand at around 5'5", and the most I've ever weighed was around 150 pounds. About 6 or 7 years ago, I didn't have my license despite being far old enough to drive, but a good buddy of mine wanted to hang out. He too did not have a way of transport, so we decided to both walk towards one another and meet in the middle. We would both be walking 5 miles. It was 3 a.m. on a cold winter night, and I was wearing a black jacket with my hood up. About 2 miles into my hike along the main road, a car pulled into a parking spot of a home. I was passing just a few feet behind me. He wasn't entirely into the driveway, almost half hanging out into the road. I half expected it was just a kind of stranger wanting to give me a ride, but I wasn't about to take any rides from anybody. I kept pacing forward and ignoring the car behind me, expecting them to roll down a window or shout at me. Didn't happen. The car just sat at the edge of the driveway, running but completely dark inside, to the point that I couldn't only barely make out the figure of the large man. I didn't typically get frightened by much, but something in the air made me tense up, and my heart kind of dropped to my stomach. I stopped and turned to look at the car. I had a feeling that person driving was watching me instantly. The figure in the car was definitely facing me. I could see the reflection from his bouncing off his eyes. I stared back. I figured he was about to yell out to me, but he just sat quietly in a strange, menacing way that I have only ever seen. Since movies played out, I kinda did a wave at the figure, letting him know I saw him and waited for some type of communication in return. He did not He did not budge. Just stared instantly. I returned a pacing way, slightly brisker. After just a few moments, I could hear the car slowly roll in reverse. So I turned to face, but it kept pacing backwards. The car kept creeping slowly. My I pulled down my hood and stood still again, waiting for him to pass me, but instead the man slowed to a stop beside me. The passenger side window rolled down, and I met eyes. No words exchanged at all. And before I could even let out a hello, the man grimaced and accelerated away at decent pace, almost as if he was disappointed by what he had seen. It doesn't seem like much from how it reads, but I'll never forget how tense that interaction was for me. I've not felt anything like it since. All right. Okay, last story. Where is that other one? Okay, here's another one, guys. This story is called The Intruder. I converted an old Android phone into IP security cam. that starts recording and send me an email on Motion. Set it up before going out of town. One night I got a motion detected email at 3 a.m. in the morning. I went through the video recording, somehow got jammed, and it shows a single frame of a weird slight standing in front of the door with the door open. I left it closed, and it was closed when I got back home. That was a short one. Alright, guys, I'm going to do the fifth one. I'm going to do the fifth story. I lied. That was a very short one. Okay, this story is called The Crow. I was working with a young client with childhood onset. This individual was a harm to harm themselves on others. My back was to the window in my office. When they started screaming, "The man in the black is here." He followed me. No, 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 no. As I'm trying to calm them down, they start to sob. He is at the window. I can hear him. He says he wants to hurt you. He will come in here and take your skin off. He wants you dead. And I'm trying to calm them down, moving through the plan we had when they were overcome by their hallucinations. Then I hear tapping on the window. There is an amorous black crow at the window, tapping on the glass, extremely hard with its beak. The bird was just staring at me. What the heck happened? The bird was just staring at me. It would let tap, bringing its head back and slamming its beak into the glass, then staring over and over again. I got the client calmed down, and we ended up. The bird was still there. We leave the office. The bird was still there when I came back. Next client comes in. The